Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors, Everard's, Pucker Pies, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Fox's Arms. For exclusive extra shows, behind the scenes, competitions and podcasts, subscribe to Leicester Fan TV today on Patreon.
And we'll try that again. We've got audio now, right? That was not working. Let us know in the comments if the audio is back. And we'll try that again, but we'll get into it and then we'll showcase this nice, lovely signed Harry Winks shirt. Just pop us in the comments if you can hear us, guys. We should be fixed now, but I'm sure one of you lovely viewers would let us know that the audio is back on and working. Really, we'll move into the teams for Palace. Really, I mean, it's going to be a weird one. We're just going to check the comment. I'm conscious that the audio isn't working. I'm hoping that's what it said. Yes, we are back. Thank you very much, Will and Andreas. Thank you. Appreciate that. Right, we'll move into the team. Sorry for the delay on the start. Not like Leicester Fan TV, is it really? But I think we're going to have an interesting lineup. We might have some different ones, but I definitely think we're in agreement that some things are going to have to change for Palace.
I'm definitely changing my team for this game. Again, from what we've seen in the last couple of games, obviously Coley got his first Premier League start not last week, the week before against Villa. We saw that he was in my eyes probably one of the better players in that team. And again, just from seeing a few more debuts from the team, I'm making some changes. I don't think it's going to happen because we know that how Cooper wants to play with, for instance, the wing backs and how one of them pushes up. Some players won't get into the team, but for me, I'm putting how I think the team should line up because I think it's the best chance we've got to get points on the board. But before we get into the team, let's see what people are saying. James says yes, okay, the sound. And then obviously Blueton's Glasses says about a few other players as well that we'll get into later in the show. But Sam, we'll get into starting with your team then. What is your goalkeeper? Because that's always a tough topic, isn't it?
He's probably the best goalie we have in the club, so it's hard to knock him off. It's Hermanson. He's done well. I think he's made some good saves. You know, he's definitely, dare I say, Casper-esque in the way he saves. He got a lot of attributes to what must be what they teach him in Danish, like in the water over there for the goalies. But he's done well so far. I think he's adapted. Obviously, we're changing style from less possession-based football to more obviously defensive football because that's kind of how it was going to be against Spurs and Village because they were the better team. So I think he's adapted well to that, and he's shown that he can make the saves when needed.
Yeah. Anyone in the comments? Chris here says also Madza, Curly, Faze, Ricardo, Christensen, Winks. He's basically started the whole team there. We'll get into my team now. Again, there's no real change other than putting Edmonton in there. It's just, I think we should even start with just having Edmonton go because now we've got a number 30. Yeah. There's no point in really talking about him going forwards. Sam, going into your defence then, how many changes is going to be in this lineup for you?
I think my whole back line's different. I think I agree with a lot of comments about Cooper's team was wrong against Villa. I think setting up defensively, I'm not a biggest fan of doing it that way. I think I won't say the backwards, but I get the mentality and the reasoning behind obviously defending the game. I think just against some of these teams like Palace, obviously Palace are good, but I think you saw it against Fulham where we played the same way. We played against Spurs and Villa, this defensive minded, which I don't mind against better teams, but your Fulhams and your Palaces, I know they're both away, but I feel like we just got to give a little bit more in the game and, assert ourselves because, we're saying we give these teams too much respect. I think we're just defending too much against them.
I feel like you've kind of slowly turned more into my end of thoughts. I'm not saying to go all out attack, but there's got to be some end of
all out attack. I think it's more just
you've got to be more assertive on it and not be defensive as much as what I think it is.
Players in the right position is my number one thing that I like to see, and I saw it last season, seen it a few times this season already. I hate playing those players out of position because it just shows you it doesn't work. They're not equipped for that. One trick want to say one-trick ponies, but some of them just can't adapt. Like I say, Ndidi in the attacking mid-role. I get it for his defensive attributes and obviously some injuries and whatnot. We don't know that as a fact, but I do think that we need to go. Well, I think Phil's agreeing with me that we do need to be more attacking. I don't think he once said that we don't need to be. I think I'm all for Cooper trying things, and I think he's way more tactically sound than Enzo Maresca ever was, because I think he's adapting to the teams. I think it's just, for me, if you're going to play defensive against Spurs and Villa, Fulham's the game where you probably go a bit more attacking, so you can obviously adapt to some of the players and change it up a little bit more in those games. And I think for me, Palace is one of those ones, especially now we've got the team that we're going to have for the season. I think we need to start introducing some of these players better. So, yeah, well, I guess we move on to defence. And yes, Locks, Cooper has more tactics than Enzo. Enzo is a one-trick pony. He had one tactic and that was it. Cooper is adapting. You may not you can disagree, but it's the truth. Enzo had one tactic, and it worked for us, as it would. But as I said, I think most managers would have done a good job for us last season.
Well, again, I see the point of you saying Enzo only had one tactic, but I think the
It's not a point; it's a fact.
No, I know that, but I'm saying it. For me, it was the way he wanted to play and how it was done. For me, was more tactical than having just loads of different tactics in a way. No, it might be so. But let's get into defence. Sam, who are you going for left back?
Left back, I think Christensen's had an okay start, but I am taking him out of my team. I'm putting Justin as my left back.
Okay.
I think, like I said, if you're going to play someone who's more of an out-and-out left back and sits in that role better as a defender, I think Justin, he's going to sit back a little bit better. I think it's pretty straightforward in the way I'm going to say it. You have a defence who defends, you have a midfield, you get the ball through the pitch, and then you have the attackers who score the goals. It's a straightforward.
Are you saying you're changing Cooper's style?
This is what I would like to see us do against Palace personally. Just so we can adapt, a little bit better. I think some of these teams, like you said, I hope that Cooper, I'll get my words muddled up. I think Cooper could do well for us. I just think he needs to adapt to some of the style and some of the plays we have, because I think setting up defensively probably doesn't suit the players. Like I said, Mavadidi's not on the pitch, and some of the other players in and around those spots that aren't in and around that team that we need to do. I feel like I'm waffling here. Just in left back, I think he's just better defending, and like I said, I'm going to set up with more defenders than attackers, in the sense of defenders, attackers, attack.
Right back.
I'm going to put Pereira in there. I think he deserves a chance. I think he's a fairly all-round good defensive player, and he can get forward if needs to be. Same with Justin. If we are going to go for that ultra attack, I think you've got two players that can run up and down the pitch fairly well. I think I'd just like to see Ricardo in the team. Obviously, this is what I'm saying. I'm not saying Christensen's bad. I think I'd just like to see it mixed around a little bit more. I think we've got a lot of depth in this. I think we should just, I just think it's a bit obvious, the best players for the best positions. Left back, like I say, Christian could slot in there. I wouldn't hate to see Justin in there because I don't really fancy Justin playing in that inverted centre-back role, I guess, the third centre-back. I think he's been caught out in the past couple of games. So I guess those are my fullbacks, really. I mean, we'll move on to yours so I can have a drink because I'm talking too much.
I agree with you on the right-hand side. I'm definitely putting Ricardo in. For me, our best defender, or even best player at the club for me, one of them anyway.
Definitely, he was captain all for last season, so he's definitely. I guess the way you would say he's a leadership player, isn't he? He's the senior player in that defensive line. I mean, minus the centre back, I'm going to put in.
Yeah. So again, for me, right back, he has to go in, and I think I'm going to switch it round, which makes it harder because again, with the style that Cooper wants to play with Christensen or whoever plays that left back role runs up the pitch with the other side defending. I wish I could do that, but Christensen can't play in that third centre back role. I don't care. I'm putting Christensen in there as well because I think out of all the players that we've played, because I'm talking.
Can't speak in tight.
No, I can't.
There you
go. Because how out of all the players, I think Christensen's been one of our better players defending wise. Like you said, I think you said he's a better defender than he is attacker. I don't know why we're playing with him out of all the players we've got on the wing backs to be that more attacking player.
Yeah.
I think out of the ones I picked, Ricardo could easily do that probably in a better way, in a better job. So maybe he could do that, and it just means that Christensen kind of has to slot in that, not centre back role, but that full back role that has to cover at times in that centre back role. I know it's not an orthodox, what we call it, but for me, I have to put your best players in. Like, I have to put the best players in, like you said.
Yeah.
You've got to put your best players in the best positions. There's no point pissing about with having certain players in there because you've got to have them there to suit the system. You've got to have the best players in there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think you're hitting it on the head a little bit with these things of the players you've got. Don't. I mean, again, you could argue for Enzo. I mean, he did build a little bit of a team around that last season, but it's the fact of you've got to play the players you've got. And I think when we've set up, I think in the first few games, some of the key players like Mavididi have kind of missed out.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I had a good game, by the way, against Villa. So, I could see if he got into the team again. He is obviously a very defensive-minded winger. He's very good at tracking back. I thought he did a good job in the system we were trying to do against Villa. But again, like you said, it's just that one slot which then has no creativity, really, because, you've not got the pace of Mavididi. But then, you could do on the flip side of you got Fatu on the right wing, who was, invisible for all of Villa. So
I think it's partly because we rarely play down that side. It feels like we always played out, like I say, against Fulham. It felt like we always played against Bobby Reid's side. If we played against Spurs, we always seemed to play with Bobby Reid on that side again. We barely use Fatu until we kind of get forced to in a way.
We all hoped he would have a good season. Obviously, a big jump for him, Championship Premier League as it is with a lot of players. I think so far he's been fairly quiet. I thought he had a good game against Spurs, but Fulham and Villa, he was quiet. So, again, it's one of those things where if we've got competition, maybe you drop someone like Fatu and be like, listen, your position is not solidified just because you're the only out-and-out right winger, which, again, it's an issue of if Fatu doesn't play well, then you're going to have to play someone like Bobby Reid or McAteer, swapping those players, which isn't the end of the world, but Fatu, I think he needs to step up a little bit. And I think that does come from the fact that we are being a little bit too defensive in our style of play. So I feel like the more attacking, the more free you'll be in that team.
Before we get into the defenders, and we move on quickly, Richard here says, the problem with Ricardo is the pace of the Premier League with his injury problems has still got it going up and down the fullbacks. I'm not sure. Thing is, he's been playing, don't get me wrong, it was a lower standard last year. But it's probably harder work in a championship team. For me, anyway, again, with the strength of the game, the quicker pace in a way of the championship. I'm not saying he was anywhere near the level, but him playing in midfield made it harder for in what he's doing. Again, he was a fullback out to now. Now he's got to play midfield. He'll do that. I don't think now, until he gets his next injury, which you never know, it could be next game. You don't know, but I trust him to last the full season now until that happens. I'm not gonna back and say, oh, you can't play him because of his injury. Still, he had a full season last year, which was clearly okay.
I guess you'd say the Championship League 1 League 2 is more unpredictable.
Yes.
Which is obviously where it gets tougher because you've got teams like Birmingham,
and
Sheffield United,
yes.
Wednesday, so that we didn't pick up as many.
Well, people always say that the Championship's always the hardest league to get out
of. It's definitely the most unpredictable because there's a lot of players that are playing for passion.
Yes, exactly. And Ricardo was playing nearly every game last season and didn't get injured, which you'd probably say is more likely to get injured in that league than it is in this league, for me anyway.
I think the pace of it is something that he's going to struggle with the amount of games Tommy's not played, which is why obviously the longer it takes to not play it, the less and less fit I guess he's going to be.
Yeah.
Because we're going to go into Palace, and I mean you can see the fella on there as an absolute baller for Palace. I'm pretty sure if he came to get Ferrari, it wouldn't surprise me if he's running rings around him, because Ferrari is not match fit, and Eze is obviously a great player for Palace. But I would still put him in the team, so I think we need to start to introduce him as a more senior role down that side of the pitch.
Defence, centre back.
I guess we'll go left to right. I'll start with Ockley in my left centre back role. I thought he had a great game against Villa. Second half, obviously, the second goal came from him not being as strong. But again, this is stuff that he'll have to learn. Obviously, like I say, it's a different pace. A relegation team in the Italian side to relegation team in the Premier League is, it's going to be way different pace. But I thought he did well. I thought he definitely warranted his spot for that game. I think he definitely warrants his spot for the next game. Paid 15 million for him, and I think he's, looks like one of the better defenders we have, really.
I completely agree, and that's why I'm putting him straight into my team again. I've been asking for him for a couple of weeks. Yes, I get the Spurs and the Villa kind of scenario. Because I know he played against Villa, but I get the scenario of you need more experienced players in the team to solidify that back line. But for me, the pace of it alone against, like I say, that one chance that Villa had when they were basically 1-on-1 and he slide tackled in after being about 20 yards away from him, just showed his pace and his quality that he can get somewhere. Whereas if Vestergaard was in that position, you'd have had no chance he was getting to that. So for me, that pace alone kind of warrants his start because we need some pace in that back line.
I mean, I think this then opts into the next player for me, which is going to be Connor Cody. I think he needs to be introduced back into this team as that senior defender. Without Fies, I think in every game this season he has caused issues. I think his attitude stinks a little bit. I think it's fine. You can have, that aggressive, bullish attitude if you can play through. I think he's him alongside Vestergaard, which is why I think Vestergaard got dropped for the Villa game. Because we saw them push up way too, bam, bam, and it's like shit. We've just lost the ball now because we've got our two centre backs have completely pile drive into it, and I just don't think it works that way. And I think, Cody is a good player. He knows the Premier League. He's done a lot of Wolves. He was in the Everton team, and then obviously he came to us. I think he deserves a place in the Premier League side for us because I think you need that leadership role, someone who's got a lot of experience. When you've got Ockley alongside him, who hasn't really played, I think it's a bit rash maybe to play Fies and Ockley. I mean, you saw it's rash to play Vestergaard and Fies in that team because they were bullish, and I think they led to a handful of mistakes already. So for me, that's why I put Cody into that team. Because I think you need a little bit more calm and senior player in that back line.
So this is the tricky one because I get I wouldn't have played Cody last season because of the style of play, and I don't think he suited it well because of the passing game, and I don't think it was his style as well. I don't know because when we first bought him, you would have thought yes, he's a brilliant starter.
I still think he
is.
But
for the more we played and the more I saw him when he did play, I didn't think he really felt comfortable when it came to it.
More traditional.
Yes, he is.
And I think that's how we're playing football.
And that's why. And that's why I'd say for me he probably gets over some players, but then for me I'm putting Faze in, and I get your point of. That he might be a bit rash and with two younger kind of centre backs.
Now that if Faze starts the game against Palace, he may have a good game, he may not, but I can guarantee you he will make a mistake.
He might. I get the point, and I get the warrant of leadership in that defence with either Vestergaard in my eyes or Cody as well for you. But you've got Ricardo there, which for me already gives you a bit of confidence in that back line.
Senior player, he's not a leadership. I think one thing we've lacked, and I'd say it's about Jamie Vardy. I don't think he's a leader. I don't think Vardy's really a captain for Leicester. I think Connor Cody, you see the way he talks in interviews and whatnot, and the way he acts on the pitch. He's a leader. He's a person that takes control of the players. I think if Ockley and Fies were there, if they made a mistake, they'll argue at each other. But Cody's not that person. He will, like you said, he'll talk to them properly and say, "Listen, it's a mistake. Let's move on from it." Whereas Fies will be like, "You know what I mean?" So. For me, I don't think Fies is as good as he's been. I think he had a fairly good season in the Championship. I think he was quite poor the season.
I think,
and I don't think he's. I think again, healthy competition. I'd take him out of the team.
I think that back line for me now, if it was a set back line for the next couple of games, that would be my back line for this season. Just because of don't get me wrong, yes, Faze has an issue in him.
I think there's too many mistakes. I think Christensen, Ockley, and Fies are way too unexperienced with the league. And again, I think Christensen.
I get the point, but then you'd say you've got I'm saying you were saying about putting your best players in. I get Cody's got the experience, but I'm saying for the pace of the game, the pace of the game, the physical side for me. No, I'm saying because it's higher paced games now.
Yeah, but we are still sitting back in the defence line, which is where you put the better defenders in.
Fair enough. We'll move into midfield now. Just to quicken things up, I'm going to probably suggest that we're both putting Winks and Skip in that midfield.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're both going for the same midfield.
Just so we can get them out very quickly.
It's not hard to see that Skip came in alongside Winks, and he was definitely very solid. In defending, and he made some good attacking plays as well. Obviously, referee was an absolute nightmare for Villa. He was in the way a lot, and he obviously, I guess rightly so, the goal that was disallowed set up by from Winks and Skip. Yeah, it got disallowed, but the ref was in a completely wrong position. But I think it shows you their quality on the team. I think they're two very good players, and they've obviously both had their time at Spurs. I'm sure they knew each other at Spurs, played alongside each other every now and again, so they know each other.
I see Richard's comment there, reading not the defence coach then, thank God. For me, like, people are just going to put the more experienced players in, which I get. But for me, with the pace of the game, I have to put Faze in there. People are going to write him off just because of his lack of quality in a way. But for me, when it comes to the pace of the game, I think he's needed there.
But I think that's what kills him off, is because it's so high tempo. He thinks, I can get that ball, because obviously it's bam, bam, bam.
Maybe so. And that's probably where the error comes. Fair enough.
When they're on the counter attack, he's like, I can get this ball because of the adrenaline and the high paced intensity of the game. That's where he makes his mistakes.
I get it.
And I just think against a team like Palace, with very quick and very strong and very skillful attacking a line, I think they'll run rings around it, which is why I think you need someone. If you're going to have two traditional centre backs and play two centre backs, I think one's tall, one's a leader. It's pretty straightforward. For me, Faze is not tall, he's quick, he's not a mistake. So I think that's my reasoning.
Time to get into the attacking options then, Sam.
Yeah.
Now we've got what's the word? A plethora of whatever the word is. Plethora.
We'll let you have that.
Well, yeah. A plethora, however you call it. Of options in the attack. What are you going for? I'm going to tell you to go for the central role first, thank you.
Attacking mid. It's not going to be Bilal because he's been with Morocco. He came 24 hours before Villa lost who played then, and then he went straight to the Moroccan team straight after that. So he's not going to have much time. For me, he got his goal. He did well. It's going to be Buonanotte again. He's already showing why he's just signed a 4-year deal at Brighton. They find these gems, don't they, Brighton, like we used to.
See, I got it first time that time.
I think Buonanotte goes back into the team, and Bilal, again, healthy competition. Whoever's the better player, just play him. We've signed Bilal because he's meant to be this young and upcoming player. But again, you've got to fight for your position in the team. I could see it be changed around to have Buonanotte and Bilal in that team. Obviously, if you drop out Winks or Skip, so I don't think we're going to play with.
Well, I'm going to mention that Bilal did play in the Skip role against his national
we ain't
team.
Signed him for that because we've got it's a massive.
Oh, I get that, yeah.
Because we've just signed Skip for the 20-odd million. We've had Winks for what we signed him for 10 million last year, and he's again one of these people that should be in the team week in, week out.
I'd love to see it because that'd be more attacking football, but then you've obviously lost out on a very defensive-minded player.
To see it again, maybe at home against Everton, you see the two attacking mids rather than Winks or Skip, or who knows. It's just one of those things. Buonanotte played very well against Spurs, quite against Fulham. Played a good game against Villa when he came on. And apparently he didn't start because he had a knock, really. So I think really he gets into my team. I think your face is saying you disagree.
It's not that I disagree.
Or you put Bilal in.
I want to put Bilal in, but I agree with you on the point of he's only been with us for 24 hours, played about 20 minutes when he came on, and then went straight to the national team for Morocco. I feel like I know who Steve Cooper's going to put in that position. I hope not.
It's not going to be Ndidi.
Well, you can't say that for certain. I'm not saying that I think that's for certain.
I don't think it is going to be.
I hope not.
I think he made a mistake, and I think he had a choice to make. I think from what we've heard that
if both players were unavailable to play, as in one was just come in and one had a knock, then fair enough. But then why did Buonanotte come off the bench if he had a knock?
Well, he only got 20 minutes. It could have just been a managing time kind of thing. I don't know. If it is Ndidi, I would be annoyed. I think it would be the wrong decision. I think most fans would agree.
I think it's the worst decision out of them all now.
Like or dislike Cooper, I think that would be the wrong decision. Ndidi, to his credit, he is a good defensive midfielder. But he, if the football was only about getting it out,
winning the ball and
get the ball back and have it, so off the pitch, then he'd be a good player. But it's not. It's about.
It's more about that now. It's more about the passing,
It's way quicker than the Championship. And Ndidi's he's just not quick enough for it. And he's certainly not an attacking mid really. So I definitely don't want to see him there again. I think he played there last season and he was 5 out of 10. He was average. He wasn't anything special. Not again for me, unless we're very much restricted to who we need to play. But yeah, you'll play.
I've said I want to put the team that I want to play, and it's going to be Bilal because I want him to play. I don't think he will if I can find him because there you go. I don't think he will play, but I want him to play. I think he's our best attacking midfielder we'll have. Don't get me wrong, but I'll say he's been decent so far. I think with like I say, you said you need competition. I think he deserves to start
I think it's just
if he
the
can.
timing for me. I think it's
Yes, it will be. Yeah, I don't think he will start because of it.
He's not had long enough to be at Leicester. Like I said, he would have came, he signed, been with the team for 2 days, 3 days, and then he's off to Morocco. And
no, I get it.
I don't even know when's the next international. I mean,
it's 3 or 4 weeks now, I think.
No, when's the next match? I think they're playing tonight, aren't they? Most teams.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, probably.
I believe so.
But again, it's match fitness for him in their team as well. Like, don't get me wrong. Again, I get that whole point of he's not playing, but
then you can have a game with 2 halves almost. Switch around. Again, I'm just starting Buonanotte because he's done the most so far of anybody, if you ask me. So.
Or if Buonanotte starts and then you bring Bilal on at half time or 60th minute, then fair enough. As long as it's not Ndidi.
See how the game's going. And to me, Ndidi, if we're winning, Ndidi's the move where if we're winning 2-0,
then bring him on.
Bring him on for the last 20 minutes to just sit back and not concede any goals.
Yeah. Moving into the wingers and Sam, I'll ask you for both of them as of now.
So I know we're going to have different opinions. I know you keep calling him the man for walking.
Yeah, you're going to go with I might as well put it in now.
I'm not putting it.
You're not?
Not on the
Ooh, okay.
I think Ayew had a good game against Villa. And again, Ayew is a very defensively minded winger, which is why we played him, because we were playing a defensive system against Villa. So I get it. We were again, I disagree with the fans that say we should go attacking against all these teams.
But don't you think that having Ayew as well there with Ndidi in the middle, which again we all know was the issue.
I thought it was.
Do you think having only 2 players in Fatu and Vardy was the creative end of the pitch?
I thought it was fine. I thought the first style was fine against Villa. Again, my issue is when you play that kind of system against someone like Fulham, a team who aren't as good.
But they were probably the most dominant over all the teams. They were the most dominant over us.
Because they were playing a fairly similar system to us, which obviously they just outplayed us because they had better players, but they were playing the same similar style. We'll get the ball and we'll push it through the pitch when we have it. I thought I had a good game. For me, Palace, I do think, especially after this points deduction, I think we need to be way more aggressive. So I think I'm going to start Mavididi because I thought he played well. In the 20 minutes he came on against Villa. Like I said, I'd like to be more attacking. But again, I don't have an issue with Ayew. I think he's just more like a defensive-minded player. So I think if you're gonna be attacking, and this is me, I want have a system where you've got your defenders who can defend, your midfielders who are pushing through, and then your attackers who attack. Like I said at the start of the show, very straightforward what I want to do.
Clibo here says Ayew is never a starter over Mavididi unless we're playing Man City, etc. Which I get.
That's pretty much what I'm saying. Unless we're playing a top 6 team, and the tactic is to defend and hold on, because we've seen it with. I think Delhi, we get it. Cooper out here. This is about the 4th comment I've seen from it. But yeah, you can say Cooper out if you want. Yeah, go for it. It's distracting me now to keep seeing the message pop up. Ayew against the top 6 team, I get the defensive aspect playing that way. Because you see Ipswich on the other hand, they're taking the exact same tactics on last season into this season. They got thumped by Man City, and it's just that I don't want. It's no good for confidence losing that big straight on. I think we've been very competitive, and we should have got something out of at least 2 of the games. Fulham, we could have got something out of it. I'm not sure we deserved it. But definitely Villa, we deserve the draw, if not a win. And Spurs, I think, draws a fair result. I think we're very competitive so far. I just think I'd like to see that attacking team a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think, for me, don't get me wrong, I'm not, me just putting Mavididi in there doesn't mean we're going to go all out attack. I'm just saying that someone like Bilal can defend as well. Don't get me wrong, you can put someone like Bilal and basically do the Ndidi role, but he is creative as well. Because he has been in that more defensive role as well as being creative.
You probably would agree with what I'm about to say is we don't need to have a defensive attacking midfielder. We don't need.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that if he wants to be more defensively minded, you don't have to play Ndidi. You can play Bilal because he can defend as well as attack.
Yeah, but I just don't think we need to.
No, of course
I
not.
don't think we need to be as defensive as we have been. For the games like Palace, like I said, I get the reasoning for teams like Villa, Spurs, Man City, Man U, blah blah blah, Arsenal. I get why you're going to hold on to the game and try and steal something off there. But for me, Palace is. I think we've got to change it. Palace are a good team as well. They finished 10th, but I think this is where we do need to start. And again, test some of these players out. Bring some of them in. Mamdidi hasn't started yet, so he's got a lot to prove.
I think he deserved to start from what he already did in the last 20 minutes against Villa for me.
I hope Cooper sees it. I hope he doesn't, stick with the same.
Even if you bring AU1 from Abadidi in the 60th, 70th minute to hold out a game, because for me, I'd rather be trying to go 1-0 up or 2-0 up than be 1-0 down and then try and go for it. You want to have, like, as much as I know it's hard to get 1 or 2-0 up quite early on, you've got to try and start the game on the front foot instead of being on the back foot the whole game.
Yeah, yes and no. I get it. I get, you want to be up there challenging. It's just against some of these better teams, and Palace would even be considered a better team because they are. They've been in the Premier League for as long as we were until we got relegated, and they continue to be in it. So they've got a very good team, and it's one of those things where we can be attacking, but if you get caught on the back foot, they're going to slap us around silly. They're not going to give us a minute. They are going to go and score a goal.
Yeah.
So, we've got to be tactical. And again, if we do go attacking and then we get 3-0, you're in a bit of a shit. What do we do now? So we've changed it up. We went attacking and we lost the worst we have.
I think I'd rather see us try than not try.
I don't think we haven't tried. I think the tactic has just been to be the more defensive team because we're not the better team.
I get it, yeah.
So I get the tactics. We ain't the better team.
Right wing, sorry. Are we both going for the main man on that right wing?
I don't know. Yeah, you can put him in. I don't agree that he probably should be in that team because I don't think he's warranted it.
Yeah, but like I said earlier, I don't think he's been given the service as much as he would normally. I feel like we've always seemed to play down the left-hand side with either Bobby Reed or AU. It felt like it was all getting driven to that side, where that's why when we do get the ball to Fati, he does make them runs into the box.
I think he had his moments and it showed. I think obviously he's one of those players where you give him a chance and he's not always going to get the target. But again, I imagine the more attacking we are, the better he would be. The more that we have going through the pitch rather than sitting back, the more we have possession and take the ball forward, the better he would be. I'd like to see him in the team. I'd like to see him do something. I'd like Cooper to get more involved in the game and not just be that defensive team because I don't think it suits Factor as well.
Striker. Yeah. There's only one choice, isn't there? Because
it's not now.
Why isn't there?
We can't play it wide.
No, that's what I'm saying. There's only one choice.
Well, you've got Ayew, and you could see why he gets into that team. Again,
a striker, probably not, but
he plays striker. He has played striker. He's quite.
I know he has played there, but
he's quite a strong striker. Vardy's obviously a quick striker. It depends on the service. I'm obviously going to play Jamie Vardy because he's the main man to go up top.
I know this is my team, but I'm putting him in as well. Might as well.
But I think my issue is if you're going to play Vardy, give him the flipping service that he needs. Against Villa, we did not play at all to Vardy's strengths. We need at some points in the game to just do that. Hermanson throws the ball over to Winks, pings it over the top of Vardy. It's boom, he's on goal. Just need to do that sometimes.
For me,
Vardy's strengths are.
For me, looking at my team and your team, automatically it feels so much more creative, and it's still defensive in my eyes because again,
I wouldn't say defensive. I think the word you're looking for is balance. I think
it is balance. It is balance. But what I'm saying is, I feel like Cooper wants us to be defensive, yet still try and be creative. But he's playing too many defensive players to be creative.
It's hard to criticise Cooper after 3 games. I think you can criticise him in 7 games' time when we've played these teams like Everton. Again, Palace for me, who knows how it might set up? Because again, they did well. They finished 10th last year. But for me, against Villa and Spurs, I get the tactics. Against Everton, we've got to be more attacking. Against Palace, I would probably say, yeah, we've got to be more balanced. You've got to like weigh up these teams. The better teams, defend, don't get slaughtered. If you get a point, good job. Like we did against Spurs, we set up in a way, and everyone was like, great result. We got a point against Spurs because we did what we needed to do. Fulham, I think we got it wrong. I think it was too defensive, wasn't balanced. Villa, I think we got it fairly right, to be honest with you, against a good team against Villa. I don't think there was much wrong. I think it was maybe a little bit too defensively minded, but I get the reasoning. I think my logic would more be if we play like that against some of these worst teams like Everton in the coming weeks, that's where the mistakes are going to be like, well, what's really the tactic against them? Because we need the 3 points because it's a 6 pointer already.
Yeah, so they're the teams, guys, as you can see. Just to double show you. Only a few changes between our squads, but again, we all want certain players to start, which for me, Mavadidi has to be the one of the starters.
A justification for Justin and Christensen. I think we could both probably agree. Yeah, we could swap. You would probably have Justin in your team, and I could have Christensen. Same for Bilal and Buonanotte. I think we could both agree. Yeah, each of the other. I think just a centre back really that we disagree on Faiz and Cody.
Yeah. So Sam, we'll move on to this while you talk. I'll get the shirt.
Last little bit. Bore you with this stuff. Well, shouldn't bore you. Patreon content. We're doing it. Go and subscribe now. Give us your money. Well, I'm joking. You can obviously win yourself a nice signed Harry Winks shirt. If you do donate to us, it'll be greatly appreciated. All the content we do for free is, for you guys. But if you could donate a little bit of money, you get exclusive content on the £6 pack and upwards. But if you do the £3 pack, you're going to be entered for a chance to win a signed Harry Winks shirt, which I'm sure the missus would love you hanging up right over the mantelpiece. So if you do want to do that, go subscribe. It'll be patreon.com/LeicesterFanTV. And it'd be greatly appreciated if you could. So cheers. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
For exclusive extra shows, behind the scenes, competitions and podcasts, subscribe to Leicester Fan TV today on Patreon.